Brian, what are training sessions like this week in a kind of unprecedented time for the club?
Well, what is the first training session in an unprecedented time of the club? It was okay. We have we had a little competition that Andy Rose started. It's every small-sided game or medium-sided game. Players will get points based on wins and losses, and there's a good bit of money at the end, and they're all fired up about it. It was good, and so today we just wanted our first day back just to be competitive, and so normally we do that the day before the game, but we're going to do it all week. We're going to continue it all week so the guys have at least some competitiveness within the training that hopefully leads into a competitive game on Sunday. So overall, Jackson, it was okay.
Christian was just talking about, keeping that motivation going throughout the entire year, and to that point of motivating here in these final few training sessions here. Looking back on the season, do you feel like after winning CONCACAF, that level of motivation stayed at the level you wanted it to throughout the entire season?
Well, I think there was some initial, what do you call it, a hangover, or just foot off the gas or whatever right after we won. But I thought mentally the guys were engaged for large parts of the year. I think there's too many small details to just pin it on one thing, the mental side of it. I think there was other things, physical, training, game, all of that. So, that 3-game stretch I always go back to, Portland away, Orlando away, Galaxy away. I mean, we're competitive in all the games. I don't think they lost that in at any time. But having said that, I don't have the answer as to why we lost those games. We drew with Galaxy after we should have won.
Brian, I kind of want to go back to some of those aspects, everything you had to endure, the wear and tear from CCL, but also how much of a factor do you think it was, or how hard was it to adapt the absence of Gonzalo and Traore, kind of already late in the season, just to get back from that?
You mean last year?
Yeah, this year when they ended up leaving. Yeah,
Well, they ended up leaving last year.
Yeah. So kind of coming back to all that, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Freddie's a very, very experienced coach. Very good. I like the staff. Andy's done a lot of things for me. Get me more organized and stuff like that. Jimmy was good with Nuhu. Gonzo has a good rapport with all the Latino players, so they were missed, but it's not a cause for why we didn't make the playoffs. It's not the reason why. I thought overall, are we going to assess this year and take a look at our training? Of course we are. We're gonna have to tweak it a little bit. It starts with me, not those guys, Gonzo or Jimmy, but it starts with me. How am I going to change? How are we going to do things subtly different to make sure we improve the team and results? We were talking this morning with the coaches, all of them, trying to come up with solutions, ideas, why we didn't make the playoffs. And one of the things that kind of rings true, Tommy always says this because he has such pride in the club, is we think of ourselves as a big club. We are a big club. We're arguably the best club in MLS. People wouldn't say that, but big clubs find ways to make playoffs. You sustain that success. It's not up, down, up, down, up, down. You sustain consistent success. And the tale of this season was really big high, really big low, which is not usually our way. We've been pretty consistent in how we operate. And so that's the question we got to answer.
You mentioned you're making changes where they're needed. I was talking to Garth last night. He was talking about taking a kind of a clear-eyed assessment of, and kind of being honest with yourselves about what happened this year. A, will you be part of that assessment? And B, kind of as you assess each part of the organization, kind of what's been going on, what are a couple things maybe you want to take a deeper look at? Maybe one is training, but what are things?
Well, I'll leave the bigger picture stuff for maybe the year-ending press conference, stuff like that, because look, we're going to go through all departments, hopefully individuals first within their own departments, and then collectively the technical staff, and then player acquisitions, all that. We'll go through everything. We have to. We do that every year anyway, but this year it's a little bit more challenging because we didn't make the playoffs. So maybe you got to look a little deeper, figure out ways really to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So there'll be lots of conversations, lots of talks about that.
In the post-game conference, you said you were maybe going to talk to Nico about some of the comments he made. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him?
I brought it up in a team meeting today in front of the group. Again, emotions run thick after games. He said what he said, but me personally, the way I operate is very similar to Nico, because you always look at yourself first. And you look at yourself first, and then you look at your job as a coach, and then you look at your job as a representative of the club, and it's all of us, from players to coaches to staff to management to residents, owners. There's always things that we need to improve on a yearly basis, and again, especially this year because of the results.
What's the messaging for a game like the one that's coming up?
Same as I said in the press conference, repeated it today. We're going to put out a competitive team. Each player that steps onto that field for themselves, for their teammates, and for the fans that come support them, they will work and they will compete. And if they don't, then they'll just come sit down next to me.
How's Raul doing?
Good. He's out here training, trying to jog around. We'll see. We'll see later in the week. I know he's motivated to try and get out there. It might be a long shot, but he's trying.
In this last game, you had Jordan Morris back at the forward position. How did you evaluate him switching up there?
I think it was incomplete. Look, in many ways, the team, we didn't lose the playoffs that last game. I was trying to spark the team, something different, get them going. It just didn't work out that way. So it's a little hard for me to assess, that 45-minute performance. So we'll keep working on it. I mean, he's always a viable option in different spots. So we'll see.
Steph made an interesting comment saying the next season starts tomorrow or this week and this upcoming game. Is that kind of your thoughts on it?
Well, based on what I saw, because I walked over to you guys and said, you guys take a look at Steph Fry today at training. His leadership through many different areas is huge on this team, but his performance in some of the saves he made today were really unbelievable. Part of it is that competitive little thing that they got going with the players, but part of them is him being a good pro. And he's right back at work, even though everybody has that sinking feeling in their stomach. He's back at work.
These are uncharted waters for you. Ever since you took over, you've been success after success, championship after championship. First of all, how do you take that? And then you always had such a clear relationship with the fans. What'd be your messaging towards them?
I thought about that. I have to come up with some message, how I feel. I don't know if I can do it right now. We're still trying to figure out some things, and we're busy in San Jose, and we'll have to address some of it. But what I would always say to the fans is we appreciate them. We appreciate all of the support that we get. I know the players feel it when they come in the stadium. I know the players feel it when we go away from home. A lot of people in KC supporting the group, and I appreciate that. And so, that's just always, my statement. You guys have heard it before. I mean, this club is the relationship between the players and the fans. That's what makes us a club, and that's what I believe.